ADD, ADHD, what do those letters mean? None of them are in the name Boomersbach. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Pat McMahon.
Welcome back. You're all probably wondering why I'm hooked up to all of these cords here. It's because October is National ADHD Awareness Month. And, you know, when it comes to something like that, what exactly is it? And how would you know if you had it? So we asked licensed psychologist Dr. Sanford J. Silverman to join us this morning to talk about how we could treat ADHD and ADD, as well as using some neurofeedback. And so I'm assuming that this is what I'm hooked up to this morning.
Right, you're doing some neurofeedback training.
Now, what is taking place here?
Well, what you're doing is monitoring the activity, your EEG, your brain activity in the front of your head, where we have our executive functions. It's kind of the orchestra leader, the band leader there, where we make our decisions, the tempo, communicating to the rest of the brain. And so what you're doing is you're training that. So as you focus, you're actually controlling these rocket ships. And here we can see your brain activity at different speeds. So when we're doing any activity, we need to create enough beta activity. It's a faster wave that enables us to focus, stay on task, and complete task. And we don't want to produce a lot of slow activity called theta waves or alpha waves. Then we find that we're going to be drifting a lot. Okay,
so now we're looking at this, and we're looking at the screen here. Let's back up a little bit here. ADD and ADHD, what exactly are they, and what are the differences?
Well, attention deficit disorder is a problem where we consistently have trouble paying attention. We get internally distracted or distracted by any extraneous stimuli. So you can see a child in class not listening to the teacher, going into his or her head and just thinking of other things, and difficulty staying on task with the schoolwork. The hyperactivity component is referenced in the ADHD. So we see a lot of motoric movement, impulsivity, and a lot of inability to sit still, motor-driven kind of behavior.
So this would be a treatment option for somebody who would have one of those?
It is. I use this a lot in my practice. Basically, when we have ADD, the common scenario we see is an excess amount of slow activity or theta activity in children, and in adults we see excess amount of alpha activity. There are ways when we could be problem solving, but our brain is drifting a lot. It's not staying on task. So what we're doing here is you're actually changing your brain activity. You're creating new pathways and getting the neurons to fire properly, and you can condition that. And over time, based on the idea of neuroplasticity, that the brain can change, grow, and heal itself, this exercise, just like learning an instrument, learning to walk, or any other activity, through repetition becomes long-standing.
When we look at the screen here and we look at this screen, just for the couple minutes that we've been doing this, what are you noticing about what's taking place with my brain at this point?
You're doing pretty good. I mean, you're keeping the blue ship going. So we have a low beta activity here that's represented by the blue ship. You're inhibiting the left one, a theta wave, around a 3 to 6 hertz. And so, you know, despite talking, you're still staying somewhat focused.
Focused on what's taking place here.
Exactly.
Now, is this an alternative to medication?
It can be. It can be, yes.
No, what just happened? Did I just lose my focus?
It just takes a 10-second rest.
Oh, okay.
And then it begins another period.
And when people are diagnosed with an ADD or an ADHD, you were talking about children versus adults. How much of a difference is there when they're diagnosed? Is there such a thing?
Well, it's very similar. In fact, most kids carry into adulthood. Okay, they used to think years ago that once you hit adolescence, you didn't have ADD anymore, but really it was the hyperactivity component that was diminishing. But you can see a lot of inattentiveness in adult. In fact, you see a lot of hyperactivity too.
It's sad to me that there's so many people that probably have some type of version of this but don't realize it.
Absolutely.
And then they have not been properly diagnosed, if you will, or they've been to the point where they're so heavily medicated that there's, I don't want to say there's no turning back, but they haven't really entertained other options. How long has this been in existence as far as a treatment option? Well,
neurofeedback really was started in the 60s and 70s, not quite at this level with the graphics, but it was funded by the government, and they were looking at fighter pilots and looking at possible brain damage from toxic jet fuel. So they did some studies looking at brain activity and what exposure to these substances we're doing. So it's been around a while. It just caught on in terms of what it can do for attention, mood, and in fact, to treat autism with it, depression, anxiety, sports performance, because everything is related to the brain. So if we can condition our brain and self-regulate, we often can avoid medication, perform better.
Let's talk about some of the other benefits, like you just mentioned there, about somebody who may have test anxiety, or, well, of course, the autism angle, or that student that's just really struggling in school, and no matter what, they just cannot focus.
Right, right. Well, basically their brain is going into a certain pattern, certain frequencies that's beyond their control for whatever, either they've learned some of this, environmental factors, and just the way they are constitutionally, genetically. But when we teach you how to perform differently and say, oh, I can get out of this pattern, then you're actually conditioning your brain and your nervous system and your emotions to behave differently, more efficiently.
I find it fascinating that we can actually change that, because I think we try to change so many things physically, but it all stems with what's going on up
so
here.
It really is mental fitness training, going to the gym for your brain. And the brain, when it gets feedback external to itself, how to shift out of certain ranges and frequencies, and what does it feel like when I'm focusing, how to realize when I'm losing my attention, which you ordinarily don't when you have ADD, you're just kind of getting out there. When you have these kind of cues and see what it looks like, then you have something tangible to change to.
And I'm looking at this too, and just the whole the visualization that athletes do. They talk about that so much, especially going into the Olympics and how they sit in front of the screen, like the skiers going down.
Actually, many Olympians now use neurofeedback. The Canadian Olympic team credited their golds to it.
Fascinating.
And so the women's volleyball team used it and got the silver,
What a way to train and change our brain.
It is.
Who would think? It's like we work on everything else.
Natural way of doing it.
But up here. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Fascinating. By the way, am I doing okay?
You're doing great.
Okay, we're running out of time.
Okay.
So
all right.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back after this. Yeah.